Fort Bragg, North Carolina, as an active duty guidance counselor. She's been in education for 4 years now and is a product of the North Carolina education system. Woohoo! Our presenter today is none other than Ms. Sharita Reed. Before I turn the mic over to Ms. Reed, um, what I'd like to do is ask you all if you will provide to me your your point of contact for your colleges. That would be anyone that's handling the North Carolina Tuition Assistance Program, whether it's an SCO, also a contact from the business office. And if you will send it directly to this email address here, and I will put it in the chat. It is fatsr at ncommunitycolleges.edu. All of your contact information will be forwarded to Ms. Reed. So without further ado, I am turning this over to Ms. Reed.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Miss Brenda. I appreciate you and that warm welcome. I look forward to seeing everyone face to face. I do apologize. My webcam is absolutely not working, so I couldn't turn it on. But today, the intent of today is to familiarize those who are not informed about the North Carolina NCTAP program, as well as reacquaint those who are, and provide you with information on the changes that have occurred, because there are quite a few over the last couple of months, and put some of your minds at ease about the NCTAP program and funding for everyone. So first off, one thing I will say on a positive update is that in order to participate in NCTAP, these documents must be provided to NCDPS. Now, we were advised that now out of 150 schools in North Carolina, we do have the information for 130 of you, which included all 58 community colleges, based off of everyone applying for COVID relief. So that information was given to us yesterday, which is great. However, if your school does not want the funds sent to that particular account or with the use of that particular information, you will need to provide us with the tax and account information you do want payments for NCTAP to be sent to. So if it's changed or it's not what you all want, so they're only going to use what's on file, please provide that information to us as soon as possible so that we can get payment information sent out to you. But, and oh, someone's microphone is on. So to give a little bit of background to clear up any confusion as to why this change is taking place or why this information is needed. For many years, SCAA had managed funds distribution for the NCTAP program. That relationship has ended and the National Guard is handling all NCTAP distributions directly. It is a good thing and a difficult thing all at the same time. Difficult in that we're now building an entire new system, which takes time, which of course causes delays in payment initially. We're trying to rectify that and get everything sent out as quickly as possible, and that is happening. So I think that's where a lot of confusion for schools came from, because they were under the impression that we're still using SCAA. That is no longer the case. No information will come from SCAA in regards to NCTAP. Students no longer will apply for NCTAP through SCAA. Everything is handled directly through the National Guard now, with payments being dispersed directly from NCDPS. So that is the reason why all of the changes and all of the information has been requested because that relationship is no longer there. Transfer of ownership for NCTAP. The reality is that there's turnover at the schools. One of the things that we've been struggling with is maintaining a current email listing and contact information for all of our schools. And because of this delay, we have not been able to email out certification documents for the schools to verify enrollment status of the students. Because we can't verify their enrollment status, we can't issue payment. So it's almost like a double-edged sword. The same thing was taking place with SCAA, the same verification process. It just looks a little different now. So we don't have that contact information to provide to the schools. So what we're asking for, as Ms. Brenda has pointed out first thing, is that we are needing every school's point of contact for the certifying official for NCTAP, their name, email, and office number. This way we can go ahead and get this information out to you. Should this change or you add people or take away programs, we just ask that you provide that updated information to us. That way everything remains current and there's no breakdown in the payment process. And this benefits both the student and the school by us maintaining an updated list and roster. The responsibility of the student, a lot of times students have the confusion that the schools are responsible for taking care of their NCTAP. That is not the case. We don't put ownership on the school in any way, shape, or form for the application process. The student is responsible for making sure that they have applied on time and provided the correct information. Previously, the application deadline was the 5th of August, 5th of January, 5th of June. This caused a lot of headache for our schools, and for which I will apologize. Because at the end of the day, you have holidays, you have transition. It's hard to get a student an invoice so they can get their application done. We have now changed that application deadline to the 30th of the month at the start of the semester. So that'll be January 30th, June 30th, and August 30th. So this is well after most schools drop add period. So there's not, it should decrease the amount of work on the school's end when it comes to verifying course cost and enrollment, because they should have already completed the drop add period. And if they do withdraw after that date, they're already going to be responsible for the cost of that class. So it should not cause the need for there to be returns of funds or anything of that nature with this modification. But that is the responsibility of the student to make sure that those documents are provided to us. When it comes to what the school's responsibility is in the certifying official, we will be emailing a document in which you would verify the correct number of hours that the service member is enrolled in, if they're in default on any student loans, if they're receiving VA Chapter 33 benefits, and or receiving federal tuition assistance. Here's the caveat with all of that. NCTAP pays 100% of tuition and fees for community colleges. So there's no reason for our students to use any other education benefits because NCTAP more than covers the cost of their attendance at community colleges, and we advertise it that way because we want to encourage our students to utilize these funds, especially at our community colleges, because the cost of tuition keeps it low. They're getting quality education and it's not costing them anything. So we do cover 100% of tuition and fees. And please disregard, because I will delete this line out of here later. Like I said, because we have modified the application deadline, there should not be any reason why funds need to be returned to DPS because a student has dropped a class. Chapter 33 benefits. If a student is receiving that, it covers 100% of tuition, which then makes them not eligible for NCTAP because there's nothing for us to pay. So this is why we are encouraging our students to utilize their NCTAP before they utilize anything else, because there's no reason to use it. If they are applying timely, this education is paid for without them having to burn education benefits that they can use later on as they transition to something else in life. If they're using Army Ignited benefits, FTA, we are strongly considering still paying the fees, because federal tuition assistance does not cover fees. It only covers tuition. So they can still utilize NCTAP even if they're using FTA, because we will still cover their fees. The student notification list is a list that we would send to your certifying official, in which they would confirm the student's enrollment status, but it also will tell your offices how much the student has been approved for. This document will outline, okay, so we're looking at a full-time student. That full-time student's tuition bill that we received might have been $2,000 a semester. If you see on their end that they dropped classes after that invoice was provided, if they're using their VA benefits, then we would have to modify that award. What we will not modify the award for are like Pell Grants, scholarships, any of that does not count against their NCTAP, because those are benefits to the student. They should be returned to the student. We don't touch that. We're just looking at any other military benefits that they are receiving towards tuition. Otherwise, we don't need to know. It only applies to any military benefits that they're getting. Our goal is to start transferring funds via electronic deposit 14 business days after the return of the notification list. So this is what the notification list looks like. It's a PDF form. It really is user friendly. Everything has a drop down. We will pre-fill the name, date of birth, and student ID number, because that is all required on their application. So you don't have to go and search for that student. You don't have to find their additional information. We will make sure it's provided to you. You would then indicate whether or not they're eligible for that payment, or if they're eligible at all. So if they're in default, they're no longer eligible. If they drop down, they're not eligible for the full payment. That does not mean they're not eligible for payment. We will decipher that. We will take care of that, and we will send it back to you. On the last page of this document, there is a line on there for signature of the official from the school. The reason why we're asking for that to be digitally is because it verifies that an official person reviewed it. You are confirming the information that is in here, and you're sending it back stating that this is in fact true. This is the amount of money we are expecting, and everything on your form is correct. We will then review it and provide the total amount of financial disbursement with a signature from the NCTAP manager, and the education services officer will then be turned back to you. This document serves as verification of the amount of money due to your institution, and it also serves as the receipt of all transactions being completed. At that point, once you receive that back, you should be expecting payment within 14 business days. And it really is accountability on our part as well, to make sure that you all feel secure with maintaining the enrollment of our students and certifying that, yes, these funds are expected for the student. They should not be dropped from class, um, and to expect that payment. One thing we do like to remind, in the event your school decides that, hey, we're not going to hold the classes, we can't make you all do that, right? We can ask very politely. We can say, hey, please don't drop them. But at the end of the day, every school has their own individual policies. NCTAP is a reimbursement program. All applicants are advised of this early on in the process. So if the student is responsible for paying a particular fee, that is their responsibility. It doesn't decrease the amount of the award we're going to pay. We're going to pay what they are approved for. If the student paid up front, the school would then handle whatever the refund policy is for your school. Typically, funds are dispersed towards the middle to the end of the term. We are trying to expedite it so that it is closer towards the beginning of the term. Our understanding from DPS is that funds can, once they receive the invoice from us, funds can be dispersed within 1 to 2 business days. So we have put on here 1 to 2 weeks because we all know that, as much as it sounds good in theory, that they're going to do it within 1 to 2 business days, we can't guarantee that, and I don't want to make that promise. So I like to give us a little bit of cushion of 1 to 2 weeks. That way, nobody's looking for something the same week. I'm sure everyone is familiar with Miss Rebecca Loreno. Somebody is not muted. Um, so she is no longer with our office. Miss Tanya Parrish is the new NCTAP coordinator. Um, she really does try to get back to all of you in a timely manner. So this information is her contact information. If you ever have any questions, issues, or concerns with a student, payment processes, if anything changes, she would be the point of contact after today that you would want to reach out to address those concerns. I'm more than happy to help with that as well, but she is the main point of contact. Before I go any further, I want to open the forum up for any questions that you might have that I can answer for you now. And then I will talk briefly about federal tuition assistance.
Ms. Reed, I just want to remind everyone that this presentation is being recorded. I don't think I said it at the beginning, but it is being recorded. And I do know that there were multiple invites that went out. One was canceled, and then the other one for the same time. I think there may be some problems on our campuses where some people are logged into the canceled meeting, but just want to make sure that you all know that this is being recorded and the recording will be sent out. The presentation was sent out a few minutes before the meeting as well, but I will be happy to send it out again. Um, so I'll turn it back over to you for questions.
Thank you so much. I see. Is there an opportunity for this process to go through SCAA portal again? No, we will not. We have taken full ownership of our program. And so the process as it is going forward, that will be the permanent process for NCTAP. Are all programs approved at the approved schools, or do we have, all programs are approved at the schools. Every school that is a vendor with the state, their programs are approved. We have not isolated any programs that would not be approved. Sure, I can explain the application process. So a student that's seeking to apply for NCTAP will go to the North Carolina National Guard website. The application is present on the portal. It is a digital application. They must submit their application through that portal. And they also have to have a CAT card to do so. So they must be in active good standing with the National Guard. Now, there are some junior enlisted soldiers. Those junior enlisted soldiers are able to complete a paper application because not all of them have their CAT card or their military at this time. So they have been advised to submit their applications via paper, but both applications are located on the North Carolina National Guard website, and that is where they must go to apply. They would not contact Ms. Parrish directly. How can we make sure who was sent the business office contact? I'm not exactly sure about that question, but as of right now, we don't have everyone's business office contact information, and we do need it. That information would be provided to my office from Miss Brenda, who has graciously offered to accept all of your emails with that information. That information is then housed in the Education Services office. The only people who are privy to that information is myself, the ESS, our ESO, Mr. James Shaw, and Tanya Parrish, the NCTAP coordinator. Those would be the only people with that information, and that information would not be given out to any students at your schools. How do we know the student has received NCTAP? So you'll know the student has been approved for NCTAP because the certifying official will be emailed that document that I showed earlier, and I will go back to that screen. As soon as I can get my mouse over there. Oh my goodness. Okay. So they'll receive this document right here. This document goes directly to the NCTAP certifying official for your school. That it has the name and date of birth and student ID number for every student at your school that has been approved for NCTAP. You can maintain a copy of that, but a signed copy will be returned back to the certifying official for your school's records. Ms. Billings, I hope that I was able to answer that question for you. How long does it take to get this document? It depends on the students applying. We closed the application, for example, for the spring term, and the spring term closes January the 30th. And so 2 weeks after the end of that term, we will start sending out the certification document, just simply because of the volume of applicants. If you have not received your document yet, it may very well be because the students have not returned the requested information. if you will let me know what school you're from, Miss Billings, I will reach out to Miss Parrish, or you can reach out to Miss Parrish directly and just ask for a status update. I know she has been getting the certification letters out to the schools. But okay, Davison. Okay, I will reach out to her and I will check and find out the status of your certification packet, Miss Billings. But it does, once the application period ends, you should start receiving it within 7 business days starting. So we'll start usually with the schools that have the highest volume of enrollment and go from there. When does the soldier need to apply for NCTAP? Spring term applications open November 15th and will close on January the 30th. So they must apply prior to the close date of that application. No late applications will be accepted or processed, with no exceptions. Yes, NCTAP applications, Ms. Tompkins, are semester by semester and not a year at a time. No problem, my pleasure. To be clear, if we had an account and had account information in NCSEAA, we do not need to provide the tax information again. Okay, so no, we did not get any information from SCAA. So tongue tying, but no, we did not get any information from them. If you have an account with NCDPS, and most schools did when they applied for COVID relief, you do not need to provide that tax account information again. The only caveat to that is if the account and the funding for your COVID funds are a different account than what your school wants NCTAP funding to go to, you will need to provide that updated account information. Otherwise, all payments will go to that same account that was provided to NCDPS for your COVID relief funds. I hope I was able to answer that clearly. Did you have a follow-up question about that? Okay. My status was that DPA had my docs. Are you all waiting to hear back that they're good? How long does that process with DPS typically take? So DPS has notified us that 130 of the 150 schools all have accounts with them. To date, I do not have any community colleges that are red on that list. So, Ms. Ingram, you should be good with DPS. If not, you should have been, the school or the POC would have been directly contacted back by DPS, letting you know what your status was. And it should only take 2 to 3 business days once they receive it to get that back, because they still send it up to central funding. But otherwise, I think all of our community colleges are good, unless, like I said before, you do not want those funds to go to that account. Were there any additional NCTAP questions or anything that I can clarify? Okay, thank you. I should reach out to request notification list. since it's been a little over 2 weeks. Yes, you can reach out to find out about the notification list. If it has not been received, it's probably because it was unclear whether or not you were the certifying official. So that those emails will really help clarify who is handling the finances and who is handling certifications, because for a lot of schools, um, they're not the same. So some of them, most of them, we've gotten returned or no reply at all. So please reach out to Ms. Parrish, or I can do so on your behalf. If you can just let me know what school you're from, and I will contact her and ask about the status of your notification list. Randolph Community College, yes, ma'am. I will reach out to her after our meeting and find out the status. Were there any additional questions? Okay.
Can we get a copy of this PowerPoint?
Yes, Miss Brenda will be emailing that out, or she emailed it out prior to the meeting, and she did advise that she will email it out again at the conclusion.
I will email the PowerPoint presentation out again if you did not receive it. I'll email that out again, and you will also receive a today's recording of the webinar as well.
Were there any additional questions? Okay, I am going to briefly go over, and if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. I'm going to go over briefly federal tuition assistance. I know that Army Ignited 1.0 was an absolute nightmare for a lot of our schools and a lot of extra work. Um, I I would encourage you, if you have not done so yet, I would encourage you to create a AI portal. Everything for Army Ignited has transferred over to the AI portal, which means that you are no longer responsible for loading enrollment files. You're no longer responsible for anything beyond invoicing and entering grades for Army Ignited now in the Army Ignited 2.0 platform. What's amazing is that now for our National Guardsmen and our reservists, it where they used to had to wait until after they've completed training, they can now start utilizing their funding for community, for any college. They can start using their federal TA. Now, we do encourage our service members in the National Guard to utilize NCTAP for our community colleges, but you also have students that don't belong to the North Carolina National Guard. They may be visiting from another state, and these students are eligible for federal tuition assistance. So if your school has not created an AI portal account, I strongly encourage that you do so if you're participating in federal tuition assistance. It's just a great avenue to increase enrollment at your schools, especially for those students that don't belong to the North Carolina National Guard and may be stationed here in North Carolina for the Army. And they are able to use up to $250 per semester hour for a max of 16 semester hours per fiscal year, or $4,000, whichever one comes first. So it also, and not only does it cover associate's degrees or professional diplomas, It covers certificates. And so that same funding handles credentialing assistance programs. So if your school has an EMT program, an LPN program, um, and other certification programs, federal tuition assistance is a wonderful way for our students to also utilize that. It also comes in handy in the event that we run out of NCTAP funding, for example. So if a student misses the application deadline as well, this is a great alternative to help them fund school, but your school has to be taking part in the program in order for them to do that. It does not take long to create a portal account if you don't have one. If you have students at your school that belong to the Air Force and they are active duty Air Force, your school already has an AI portal account. It's just a matter of you logging into the Army portion of that portal. They are one and the same. We are going to start strongly encouraging all of our National Guardsmen to also utilize their federal TA, especially those applicants that join the National Guard after the application cutoff. We want them to utilize their education benefits, and this is another one that is really good for them, especially when they fall in that weird window of the application deadline, and doing away with the requirement of them being job qualified before they can start utilizing it will increase participation once everyone is made aware. So the students will start asking about if they can use their federal tuition assistance, especially those who missed the application deadline. And so that was the short synopsis of federal tuition assistance. And that really is all there is to it now at this point, because we have gone back to a more streamlined process. And we do apologize immensely for the headaches and the heartaches that came with the first Army Ignited rollout. I know it left a bad taste in a lot of schools' mouths. And so, if you are one of those schools that maybe even are waiting on funding, if they belong to the National Guard, I will be processing that funding over the next couple of weeks, actually, because that information has been added into the new system. So if you had any outstanding invoices for that, those will be processed. Um, I want to open the floor back up for any additional questions that may have arose from this information as well. And if you would prefer to ask, I don't know if you're able to unmute yourself, or if you want to hit the raise your hand button. Okay. Do we still need to log into Army Ignited or just stay with the AI portal? Nothing is done in Army Ignited on the school end anymore. Everything will be done through the AI portal. That goes with grades, updating your degree plans or degrees offered. That all goes through the AI portal. You never have to look at Army Ignited again. Yes. Thank goodness. Yes. No, you never have to touch it again. Everything's through the AI portal. And the students now, the onus on them making sure that everything is requested timely, everything is in there properly, it has returned back to the student where it should have been in the first place. Just a caveat while I'm waiting to see if there's any more questions. If you don't have an AI portal yet and you go ahead and create one, or you do have one, but you're not sure about the Army portion of the AI portal, they offer a training via Teams every second Thursday on the entire AI portal for the schools. And it is offered on the AI portal itself. So there is a direct link on there so that you can sign up for that training. And they do it live, so it's not a recording. You're actually able to ask questions as a part of the training. No, more than one POC can use the AI portal. Your second person can't seem to get in and update when you're not available. More than one person is able to access that. What I would do, Ms. Billings, is send a help desk question or issue through their online platform. So log in and send that, or have your secondary POC log in and send that so they can fix the account settings, because more than one person can have access to the AI portal at your school as long as they're assigned. You're welcome.
Ms. Reed, we've got a quiet group this morning. A lot of our folks on the call this morning are just coming back in from a big financial aid conference.
Oh,
So
wow.
probably overwhelmed with information from that. But I do want to just thank you again for taking this time out to explain NCTAP, the new changes, and also to be able to answer the questions that our team has put before you this morning.
Absolutely, my pleasure. What I will say is that I am always available to answer any questions should you need them. So yes, do I manage the federal TA? Absolutely. But that will not stop me from helping you with your NCTAP needs or your NCTAP questions. If you have any issues or concerns, if you need someone to physically come to your school, I'm happy to do so. We're trying to change the culture and the relationship between the National Guard and our North Carolina schools. We want to increase our service members' enrollment. We want to increase your presence and knowns amongst our guardsmen. So any events that you have coming up, anything that we have coming up, if we have your school's information, we'll send invitations, because we believe in giving back to our state. That was the intent of the program. And that's exactly what we want to do. And we can't help what was done in the past, or maybe a breakdown in communication, but going forward, it will not be that way. So if your schools need anything at all, that's what we're here for, and we're happy to help. Yes, we handle National Guard, but if you have active duty or reservists, we don't care about what part of the Army they belong to, or if they're Air Force personnel. We are happy to help in any way that we can, and that's what we're here for.
Thank you so much for extending that invitation. I know that many of our colleges will probably take you up on that. And is it also permissible that they can reach out to you directly via email or phone? That I see that information on the screen.
Absolutely. Feel free to call me. Feel free to email me. That's what I'm here for. I will be visiting East Carolina and offering an in-person training on NCTAP as well as Army Ignited next month. And that date is November the 8th. And I will then be at UNC Wilmington as well on November the 14th, doing the same. So if anybody is in the area and they want to attend, just send me an email. I will send you all of that information. I am setting up an in-person training at North Carolina A&T as well as at our headquarters office in Raleigh. If your school is further out in the state, I will come that way. I will find a location to set up an in-person training there as well. And so while I'm there, I'll have additional staff with me. So we will be able to assist students as well while we're on site, to kind of ease that burden. As also, so anything that, if you guys have an idea, if you need some assistance and support, that's what we're here for. So please use us.
And I do look forward to coordinating some of those events that, we can possibly set up something by regions for our colleges, that you can do some in-person training for them. Um, and without taking up any more of your time, I do again want to thank you so much for taking the time out to explain the TAP program. And if there are no more questions in the chat, I would like to just give everybody back, it looks like about 13 minutes of your day. And again, look forward to seeing this recording or receiving this recording in a couple of days. The presentation you should already have, but I will definitely make sure that I am sending it out to the group again. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention today, and make the rest of your day an awesome one.
Thank you again, everyone, and thank you so much for coordinating this, Miss Brenda. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have
You
a
all
good day,
have a wonderful
everyone.
day.